All right, just a quick reminder also, we'll be opening up the phone lines here in just a few minutes. You can reach us at 877 Newsmax. That's 877-639-7629. We'd love to hear your comments and questions. We'll get to those in just a few moments. Again, the number 877 Newsmax. And joining us right now is pollster John Zogby. He's a senior partner of John Zogby Strategies. John is also the director of the Keenan Center for Entrepreneurship at his alma mater, Lemoyne College. John is also the author of a new book, We Are Many, We Are One. Also Skyping in from Northern Virginia, presidential historian Craig Shirley. Craig is the president of Shirley and Bannister Public Affairs. He's also the author of Last Act, The Final Years and Emerging Legacy of Ronald Reagan. Thanks for being here. And finally, last but not least, former Trump advisor Sam Nunberg, who is joining us from Newsmax in New York. All right, gentlemen, let's get started. Corey Lewandowski was on CNN earlier today. He was asked about the conversation that took place between himself and Donald Trump. Let's take a listen.
I had a nice conversation with Mr. Trump, and I said to him, it's been an honor and a privilege to be part of this. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. There are highs and lows in every campaign, and we've been through them together. And in order to be successful, we need to continue to build that team and build those relationships with the RNC and utilize the resources that they have available to us. So that's where the campaign is going, and it's been a great privilege.
All right, and according to an article we have up on Newsmax.com, one staffer says Lewandowski's ouster was a result of a coup by Mr. Trump's children, while NBC News reports that Donald Trump's daughter, Ivanka, had been pushing her father to let go of Lewandowski since that incident with Breitbart reporter Michelle Fields in Jupiter, Florida. Out of all of us here participating in this conversation right now, Sam, I don't mean to bring up any bad memories, but you're the only one who has been in that room with Donald Trump and has had that conversation with him. What do you think it was like between him and Corey Lewandowski today?
Well, I'm sure it was gracious. Look, Mr. Trump and Corey had a very close relationship. And actually, John, you're not going to believe this. Let me give credit where credit's due. Corey was with Donald from the very beginning of 2015. He stuck through with him, and I could tell you from past experience that, you know, to be with Mr. Trump 24 hours and be on his call, it's not necessarily the easiest job to do. And he, you know, you don't want to kick somebody when they get fired. And would say, you know, he was the campaign manager. Donald Trump won the nomination, and I'm sure Corey will have some kind of role in the future in politics.
Well, that is very gracious of you, Sam. And, you know, I can speak to that, to being on call with Donald Trump a lot, because when we were out to lunch that one time, he certainly interrupted our lunch. But I guess that comes with the working with Mr. Trump. Now, Craig, that's one way of looking at what we just heard from Sam there. But, you know, there has been a failure to launch the general election campaign on behalf of the Trump campaign. Is this an acknowledgement that it's time to get serious because they've wasted a couple of weeks?
No, it's John. It's an extension of another wasted day on offense, talking about personnel matters, talking about things that are utterly irrelevant to the American people instead of talking about the issues of Hillary Clinton. Look, all things being equal, Trump apparently was not all that gracious to Lewandowski, according to news reports, because he fired him by telephone. He didn't even do it in person. So to say that he doesn't throw people overboard is kind of nonsense. This indicates linear thinking on Trump's part. You know, in 1980, Reagan was confronted with a manager he wanted to sack and a political director and a press secretary. But if he had done so on a quiet news day, then the whole news coverage would have been about him firing his manager and his press secretary and his political director. He waited till the day of the New Hampshire primary so that instead of being linear, he was multi-dimensional in his thinking. The news reports of his primary win in New Hampshire completely smothered the fact that he had fired his manager, so that it was all focused on his win in New Hampshire instead of his sacking his manager. And they were also boxed into issuing sour grapes if they said anything about Reagan firing them. So
interesting.
It's bad all the way around for Trump. There's no good news to him getting Lewandowski. It's another wasted day, and it shows bad management and bad judgment.
Also, Michelle Fields' book comes out tomorrow. I believe her media tour begins as well. Probably not a huge factor in all of this, but, you know, that's definitely going to be part of the conversation, and now they can just say he's no longer with the campaign. But, John, we looked at these poll numbers. Several polls had Trump falling behind Hillary Clinton over the last couple of weeks. There's also a school of thought, though, that says these polls don't accurately reflect the American population. What say you?
I say polls accurately reflect the American population.
That's the pollster, right?
So let's begin and end right there. No, bottom line is, no, they don't predict the election. They just measure what's going on now. And I don't think there's any serious pundit out there that doesn't think that Donald Trump is in trouble.
Right. The trend line's not good. Let's pause right there because I want to welcome in Selena, who is calling us from Boise, Idaho. She has some comments about Corey Lewandowski. Selena, welcome to the show.
Hello, gentlemen. Thank you for taking my call.
Our pleasure.
I think this is just an example of how Trump is going to be surrounding himself with the right people, the right man for the right job. Corey did a great job for the time that he was, needed, and now it's time to change gears.
Yeah.
And as far as the polls reflecting what we think, okay, at what point in time have the polls been right in the last 12 months? None. They have not been right about.
Well, let's bring John back in to answer that question. John, what do you say to that? Selena says that the polls have not been right.
When the polls are wrong, that's more news than the 95% of the time that they're right. I want to go back to an earlier point, though. I disagree with my friend Craig. I think that something high profile needed to be done by Trump and by Manafort to send the message that, hey, look, whatever we were running an internal primary campaign, it worked. We need a general election campaign and messaging. And under Corey's leadership, that was not working. Best way to do it, I think, is high profile. This was this was the kind of cleanup that he needed. I think not really any more damage done to his campaign.
All right. Well, we're going to take a time out there real quick. Sam, we'll get to you coming up. We got Sam and John and Craig coming back with us. We're about to take a short commercial break. I just wanted to mention, though, in terms of the strife inside the Trump campaign, another high-profile staffer, Michael Caputo, tweeted out today about Corey Lewandowski's firing, referencing The Wizard of Oz. His tweet reads, "Ding dong, the witch is dead," and it shows a picture as well. Since tweeting this, though, Mr. Caputo, who was an advisor to Trump, has also left the campaign. So maybe not time to dance on Corey Lewandowski's grave just quite yet, trying to present this image of unity. We're going to talk more about this. We're going to talk about the Democratic push for gun control in just a second. Just a reminder, you have a chance to call in and participate in the conversation as well. You can reach us at 877 Newsmax. We look forward to talking to many more of you coming up here after this short commercial break. We'll be right back after this.